Hi everyone. Today we are going to explore one of the most dangerous yet fascinating topics in network security and cryptography, which is rootkits. So, rootkits are a kind of malware that don't just infect your system, they hide deep inside it, making them extremely hard to detect. We look at what rootkits are, how they work, their types, how we can detect them, and most importantly, how to prevent them. So by the end of this session, you'll understand why rootkit are considered the invisible threat of cybersecurity. Let's start with a simple introduction. The word rootkit comes from two parts: root, meaning the administrator level access in Unix or Linux systems, and kit meaning a set of tools. So basically, a rootkit is a set of malicious tools designed to give an attacker hidden control over a system. So what makes rootkit different from regular malware is their stealth. So once they're installed, they can hide themselves from other malware, from antivirus programs, and even from the operating system itself. So think of rootkit like a parasite that burrows its Okay, so think of rootkit like a parasite that burrows itself deep into the computer. It doesn't want to kill the system immediately. It wants to stay hidden and control it quietly. So now let's see what makes rootkit so special and so dangerous. So firstly, they are stealthy. They hide their presence by modifying system files, intercepting system calls, and removing traces from logs. Second, they operate with high privileges, usually at the kernel level, which gives them total control over your system. So third, they are persistent. Even if you restart your system, the rootkit can reload itself automatically. And lastly, they are hard to remove. Traditional antivirus tools often can't even see them. So you can imagine a system infected with rootkit is like a house where someone is living in your basement, but you never know they existed. Of rootkits depending on where they hide in the system. So the first one is user mode rootkits. These operate at the application layer. They modify normal application or DLLs to hide processes or files. Easier to detect compared to others. So the second one is kernel mode rootkit. These are more dangerous. They modify the kernel, which is the core of the operating system. Once inside, they can control almost everything. So the next is bootkits. So these infect the master boot record, which is MBR, or the bootloader. They load even before the OS starts. So antivirus software never gets a chance to stop them. So the next is firmware rootkit. So they target the firmware or the hardware components like the BIOS or the network cards. Even reinstalling your OS won't remove them. So the last is virtualized rootkits. So these install a hidden hypervisor that runs your operating system as a virtual machine. So the attacker controls everything below it. So the deeper a rootkit hides, the harder it becomes to detect. Okay, so let's understand how rootkits actually work. So it usually begins with an attacker exploiting a vulnerability in the system, maybe through a malicious download, phishing emails, or infected USB drive. Once inside, the attacker gains administrator privileges and install the rootkit. So after installation, the rootkit would modify the system files or kernel modules to hide its existence. For example, it can hide its presence from the task manager or filter it out from the system logs. Finally, it opens a secret communication channel back to the attacker, giving them remote access to your computer without you ever knowing it. So its life cycle basically consists of like exploiting it, then installation, hiding, and controlling and persist. So this is all about a rootkit's life cycle. So speaking of life cycle, here's a clearer step-by-step breakdown. So first one is intrusion. So gaining entire entry through a system vulnerability. The next is installation, embedding malicious components. And the next one is execution, integrating itself with the system kernel or the libraries. The next is hiding, concealing from the user and security tools. The next one is maintenance, continuously communicating with the attacker to send or receive comments. Once this cycle is complete, the system becomes fully compromised. So now the big question, how do we detect something that doesn't want to be seen? So there are multiple detection approaches. So one such thing is signature based detection. So similar to how antivirus software works, it looks for known rootkit patterns or code signatures. The problem, it fails with new or polymorphic rootkits. So heuristic or behavioral analysis. So this looks at unusual system behavior like hidden processes or unusual CPU usage. So the next one is integrity checking. So here system files are compared with the known good versions. If even one byte is different, we can. Next one is memory forensics. This involves analysis like memory dump using tools like volatility to find hidden drivers or hooks. So the next one is boot time scanning. So scanning before the OS fully loads helps catch Bootkits that hide early. So tools which are mentioned in this slide are mostly widely used here. So however, no single method guarantees 100% success. Detection is still one of the hardest challenges. So, as the saying goes, prevention is better than detection, especially when it comes to rootkits. So, here's how we can reduce the risk, right? So, keep software updated. Patch vulnerabilities quickly. So use the trusted resources like avoid pirated software or unknown USBs. Run on a non-admin user. So don't give unnecessary privileges. So enable secure boot. Prevents unauthorized bootloaders. So use multi-layered defense, firewall plus antivirus and with IDS. So perform regular integrity checks, tools that verify if system files are unchanged. So the main idea is limit the attacker's chance to gain admin access and limit what they can do even if they get it. To see the real world impact, let's look at the famous example, the Sony BMG rootkit case from 2005. So Sony included digital rights management software, which is DRM, in its music CDs to prevent copying. So when users play the CD on their computer, it secretly installed a hidden program, a rootkit like component, without asking the permission. So the rootkit not only hid itself but could also be used by the hackers to hide other malware. So over a 500,000 computers were affected globally. So eventually, Sony faced massive backlashes, lawsuits, and had to recall millions of CDs. So this case taught the world that even legitimate companies can create serious security risks when software behaves secretly. So as rootkits evolves, so must our defenses, right? So the future lies in the AI-based anomaly detection systems that learn normal behavior and flag anything unusual. So hardware level protections like TPM, which is Trusted Platform Module, and Secure Enclave chips will play a big role. So we'll also see sandboxing and even blockchain based integrity verification for critical system files. Essentially, we are moving from reactive detection to proactive defense. So to summarize, rootkits are the one of the most stealthy and persistent threats in cybersecurity. They operate silently, hide deep inside the system, and are extremely hard to detect or remove. So, but with proper security practices, system updates, and strong prevention layers, we can minimize this impact. So Also, always remember the most dangerous malware is the one you don't ever know exist. So, thank you all for watching. I hope this session helped you understanding the depth of rootkit attacks and how to defend against them.